Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. I am your host, Lance Brack. Thank you for listening today on Spreaker or wherever you listen. And on today's episode, in case you missed it for some reason, last night was the 30th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Raw is Triple X, or at least that's what the logo said anyway. If you're like me, you've been watching Raw for most of your life. If there are any younger wrestling fans, probably Raw might have been on before you were born. Like I said yesterday, the first episode of Raw in 1993 was on my birthday. So I thought I always think it's great when I get to watch wrestling when I have one of the shows on my birthday. This year was Dynamite. And also, sorry about that, fans. I had to take a quick pause and like I was going to mention, I did a recap of Raw 30th anniversary last night on 360 Wrestling Fanatic, so you can go back and check that out right here, 360 Wrestling Podcast on Spreaker and all the other websites or apps that 360 Wrestling Podcast is available on. Would appreciate it. Also, like I mentioned last night, the Bella Twins did not appear on Raw is 30 after being advertised. This morning, what I have seen about it is that it was due to creative issues. I did not actually read the entire article, just saw the alert on my phone from Ringside News that said it was due to creative issues. I don't know if it had to do with a match they were going to put them in, or probably not a match. I shouldn't say a match, but because I don't see them putting them in a match, but the segment, I should say, they were going to put them in. It could have even just been like a backstage segment or something that they were going to use them for. Kind of like what they did with the poker segment. They had all the legends that were back there and some of the current stars that they didn't really have any ideas for last night. They just put them backstage in the APA poker game, which, like I talked about on Wrestling Fanatic last night, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Still not saying that it was great or I thought it was really entertaining or anything, but as far as those poker backstage segments go, it wasn't the worst one they've done. I was going to say that. And just before I left, I haven't finished it, but I was listening to Post Wrestling's Rewind of Raw, and they mostly agreed, or shared the same opinion, I should say, for last night. But John Pollock did say kind of like the last part of the show was kind of slow for him and not as good as the rest. But Wei Ting said he really liked the show. And again, I thought this was one of the best Raws in a long time. For just my opinion, for me, it didn't drag like Raw does some weeks. It wasn't really that slow, because sometimes when I'm watching Raw, I just am watching it and I feel like it should be almost over already, but it's only about 9:15 or 9:30. Just about maybe half over. But last night was different than a lot of weeks, where I thought it was actually pretty well paced, and I thought it went by faster. And actually at the end of the show, when it was time for the main event, Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory, I was kind of surprised actually, because I thought there was more time left, kind of how usually with AEW Dynamite, it's where it goes by fast, and then when it's time for the main event or the last segment, I'm surprised, is because I thought there was more show left because it went by so fast. Didn't think I was to the end just yet. So that is a plus for me. And in my opinion, definitely better than the last anniversary show, the Raw 25. I want to say that was when they did from 2 locations, where they did it at, I want to say, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, where they did one part of the show, and then they did the other part of Raw from the Manhattan Center. Of course, is important because that is the site of the first episode of Raw, which was a good idea, I thought. I thought it was pretty neat having the 2 locations thing. Actually, I thought it might have even been a better idea if they just had it from the Manhattan Center instead of doing the 2 locations, but of course they want the bigger arena in the Barclays Center, which business makes sense. Make more money, sell more tickets, more people there, sell more merch. But that was a good idea to have some segments from where the first Raw took place. But I would say the show was not that great, just the way it was booked, and really didn't care for the show as a whole. And even, I would say, pretty sure that was the 25th. If I'm wrong, I apologize. And even the last few anniversary shows, like the 20th and these specials where they bring back the legends, and like back when Raw was only 2 hours, they would make Raw, a 3-hour Raw for the special occasion. And now it's just 3-hour Raw every week, so it hardly doesn't seem quite as special anyway. Also, I heard John Pollock say that it has been 10.5 years now since Raw has been 3 hours. It started with Raw 1000. Does not seem like it has been that long. Well, not for me anyway, for 3-hour Raws. And I know a lot of people complain and say it's too long. And sometimes I can see that point. Like I was talking about earlier, how Raw sometimes does drag, where it seems like it's going by a little too slow. But last night, like I said, they did it right. Or at least I think so anyway. Hopefully, the next upcoming Raws will be more like how last night's episode was. So let's hope, maybe try to keep positive and hope that WWE will keep this streak of good Monday Night Raw episodes going. Will they, though? That's the question. But I'm going to try to remain positive and hope that they will. And that's all for this episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. Thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in here on Spreaker or anywhere else you may listen. As always, stay tuned for more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, and GMWF will return tomorrow morning. Hope everyone has a great Tuesday. But until next time, keep watching pro wrestling.